Well, let me let you introduce yourself, brother, and let them know who you are, what you talk about, because you're about to do a powerful lecture presentation here at Nicholas Bookstore in Brooklyn, New York. So just give the people a synopsis of what you bring to the community and to the world.
Yes, I'm Ras Ben, humble servant of humanity, scribe of Rocks of Ages, which is first indigenous-centered, African-centered, cultural-centered look at crystals and sacred stones. The first edition came out in 2000, reprint came out in '08, and being obedient and bringing out those works have definitely opened up a lot of other portals for me to move through. And so recently I've been doing a lot of works with the Star Nations. And I've just completed a new DVD, The Heavens Are Open, which is a serious look at what, some call that ET UFO reality, what our ancestors would call the Anui or the Nomo Titiani, the Ofan, so we looking at that reality and seeing how that really is going to be a thing we're going to have to deal with within this next year or two. Our relationship with the heavenly host. So that's been, like I said, when I say just completed the DVD, I'm talking about yesterday. So
So when you say that these heavenly hosts, would another term be extraterrestrials? Would you
absolutely
use that term?
Right.
Now,
so now I avoid that ET UFO label for a number of reasons. The most being that the Eurocentric slant and then resultant stigma that comes with it, because there's a fear factor put on them labels,
right?
Alien invasion, but they really are celestial family, So
you've had contact with these heavenly hosts.
I have had contact with them, live and direct. Yes, I have.
Can you say what they look like?
Well, I mean, the contact I had, they appeared as orbs or beams of light, balls of light in the sky.
How was the communication? Was it through words? Was it through thought? Was it through feeling?
Through thought. I was actually getting a healing. The last encounter, which was this August, I was at a reggae show down in Philly getting some body works done, and the brother was working on my head and crown region, and I just saw a fleet of orbs just coming to my focus. And the beautiful thing was, even though I didn't have a video camera right with me to capture it, there were a congregation of people right there that I pointed it out to. So it was like a collective. It wasn't just me tripping. It was a collective experience,
Now, is this a thing when you see orbs? I'm glad you said it wasn't just you tripping, other people seen it. Now, when you see things like this, or the more we're changing them, we're shifting to a different dimension. That's what Brother Delbert Blair would say.
Yes. So
we will start to see more and more things like this, more and more occurrences such as orbs and things of that nature. Is just something that you have to be on a certain consciousness to see, or will everybody see these orbs? Or is it like a frequency thing? You have to be on that frequency in order to see it. Because some people see things in the sky, they point at it, but then nobody else sees it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that person's tripping. Right. That just means that person has conjured up a different...
Yes.
So
that's a very good question. And I think ultimately time may have to tell. I do feel like this year the nature of some of the sightings are going to be such that, yeah, everyone is going to witness them. And there have been certain sightings where, right, been witnessed by millions, filmed by thousands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the Pyramid Mothership flew over 9 nations June of 2012, June 5th, 2012. Flew from Russia, it flew over Russia through Israel. Hit 8 nations in between. It was filmed by thousands, witnessed by millions, right? And it made the news, but they spun it that there was a Russian missile launch over Israel, a Russian missile test over Israel. So now, you know enough about geopolitics to know if Russia tested a missile over, is it real? Yeah, World War III would have been jumped on. So, you know, that's one of the things we look at in this new DVD, that phenomenon, and debunk the media spin that was put on it.
Now, when you talk about heavenly hosts or extraterrestrials, the average person, it conjures up sort of a fear because it's something they're not used to.
Exactly.
So, do you feel as though these orbs or these extraterrestrials, do you feel as though it's something, some of them are evil, or do you feel as though this is our cosmic family?
Right.
Because you hear all the time about abductions and people being,
right.
What do you call that, examined and
right.
all of that stuff. So that's what
asked,
people think about that, abductions.
I'm glad you asked that question, because my research, the ones doing the abduction and the stealing of body parts and body fluids and the experimentation with our DNA and all of that, they're not extraterrestrial. They're not coming from the heavens. These are inner earth beings, you know. So the ones that we would call reptilians, the ones we would call grays, they don't come from the heavens. These are beings that are bound inside the earth. And this goes to our ancestors' teachings of many traditions. But most commonly, we know that story is like that of Lucifer and Satan, that fallen angel. So at one time they was in the heavens, but, you know, they violated natural law, omniversal law in the heavens, and they was in prison. They were cast into the earth. And in their effort to escape their judgment and escape their bondage, they've been manipulating humanity. And those are the ones that have been doing the abducting and all that. And they want to fool humanity. They want to, you know, one of their names, one of the names they're known by is the deceivers of the nations. That's what they're known as biblically in prophecy, the deceivers of the nations. And they have been tricking us to believe they're the extraterrestrial, they're the ET. And so that we should fear those coming from the heavens. Where really, the ones that are coming from the heavens, we would consider them more like angels, more like angelic brethren and sistren, you know. Right, our cosmic galactic family. They're humanoids. The ones coming from the heavens are humanoids. They've told us so directly through Crop Circle and other means. And again, that's something I go deep into in this DVD I just completed. The heavens are open.
What do you think about David Icke's, when you hear David Icke talk about the reptilians and shape-shifting and the people, the so-called powers that be, being reptilians and having the ability to shape-shift?
Yeah, all that's real.
So you believe that George Bush, they have the ability to shape-shift into reptilians? Yeah.
Well, you should be more specific. They have the ability to hold human form.
Okay.
Okay. That's what they have to work at. You know, they got to hold their true nature.
Now, is this a race thing? Just whites are, because when he talks about it.
That's a great question. That's a great question. My research has told me it's not. It's bigger than race. And that, truth be told, Credo Mutwa, the last Sangoma of the Zulu, the keeper of the culture, the keeper of the sacred teachings, he says that those who we would historically call the Neolithic African, not the Bantu, but the Neolithic African, that they were the first humans manipulated by these reptile beings, and that was the first big schism within humanity, the schism between the Bantu, who tend to be the agriculturalists, versus the Neolithic Africans, who tend to be pastoralists. So, so I think it's a little bigger than race. Their manipulation of our DNA, I think, is antediluvian. It goes back before what they would call the Great Flood.
Mm-hmm.
13,000 years ago. So this is more of the end of the story, not the beginning of it, but we're at the time we're in now.
Now, what about people that are classified as schizophrenic, and they hear voices, or they may, I know sometimes I may be sitting on the train, somebody's looking up at the ceiling talking to something I don't see. They swear something's up there talking to them. Now, there's cases of people that's schizophrenic that talk about they see green men, they see all types of stuff. What is that? What does that mean to you? Schizophrenia.
Well, it could be a lot of things, It could be ancestors speaking. It could be angelic beings speaking. It could be demonic entities, I think a lot depends on the health and vitality, nutritional wellness of the person. Because we all have the potential to, what you say, pierce the veil.
Mm-hmm.
Tap into things that aren't visible. Just because I can't see it doesn't mean it's not here.
Right.
So sometimes we can pierce that veil.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we're in control of our consciousness when we pierce the veil.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes because of malnutrition or just karmic issues within ourselves. Sometimes we can't control when that veil opens and closes, and what unseen forces have influence in our life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say schizophrenia is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much a mental disease as much as a spiritual condition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, what about the concept of the holographic universe, and that being that the universe is just a holograph? It's a projection of our mind. So everything we see, the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, the galaxy, it all exists within us, and we're projecting it outward. What do you think about that?
I affirm that reality. But what I would say is we ourselves, you're filming what appears to be Ras Ben, right?
Right.
The real Ras Ben is at the core of the galaxy, the center of the galaxy, the seventh heaven, And I'm projecting my reality through this body.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a real thing.
So you acknowledge our multi-dimensional nature.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think is the key to, well, what is your purpose down here? Let me ask you that. What do you think, being that you're a multi-dimensional creature, you deal with, this galactic information, What is your purpose down here? What is humanity's purpose down here? Does everybody have a different purpose? What's our reason for being? As we would say, this earth plane coming down here, as you would say, projecting yourself down here.
Right.
Why leave where you are to project yourself here?
Ultimately, it's to serve and uplift fallen humanity. Yeah, to help all recognize that oneness and that universal reality we were just talking about. But I think one's purpose is imprinted in their DNA. We all got our unique purpose.
Right.
You know. And I think we also have higher purposes. So right now I'm on one purpose, right? But I know I have higher and more fulfilling purposes that I have to live out. You know, and that will kind of unfold and reveal in time. You know, that's why obedience to inspiration is important.
Why?
You get that inspiration, you get that inner vision. It's not just to be experienced inside. You got to make it manifest on the outside. And that's what opens up the next level of your purpose.
What would you define as inspiration?
That creative spark.
Creative spark, okay.
That gives you either a vision or word sound in your head. Yeah, so building on that. So, right. Started out dealing with the crystals and sacred stones, got the vision to deal with the star nations, but Spirit has put me on a next mission recent. That's why I'm here today in Brooklyn to talk about Fukushima, help bring awareness to this environmental issue we all are facing. It's invisible. Something's right in our face. It's going to have our attention.
For the people that don't know, what is Fukushima?
Fukushima is the disabled nuclear power plant that is spewing tons of radioactive water and fuel into the environment every day. That's been
where is
happening
this?
in Japan. It's in
okay.
northeastern Japan. It's been, you know, a problem ever since the tsunami of March 11th, 2011. So, right, there's about 600 tons of nuclear fuel stored at this facility.
Wow.
3 of the 6 nuclear reactors are in complete meltdown. The water in the Pacific is boiling and steaming for hundreds of yards, extending out from the nuclear facility. A lot of wildlife and ocean life in the Pacific is dying. And because of the phenomenon known as the jet stream, the strongest meteorological factor in the northern hemisphere, the winds, the strong wind force that travels from west to east, it's bringing that radioactivity directly to the U.S. You know, Japan is the 37th parallel. New York, Philly, we're the 40th parallel. Washington, D.C. is on the 38th parallel. So it's basically straight across. From
When you say parallels,
latitude, degree of latitude.
Right,
You're looking at a globe. You're looking at a map.
Right.
Philly's on the 40th parallel. New York's on the 40th parallel. Washington, D.C.'s on the 38th parallel. You go see where Fukushima is. It's on the 37th.
So what does that mean?
What does that mean is that that jet stream is carrying that radioactive material straight to us.
Straight to us.
You know, so even though it's invisible, it's something we need to be aware of, pay attention to. So I'm just helping bring awareness to it.
Right.
And get the visions for survival and sustainability in spite of it. You know, it ain't a doom and gloom something just because we should be aware of it.
Right. Okay. So that's what you're going to be dealing with today.
Yes.
Could you tell the people how to get in contact with you if they want any additional information?
Yes, rasben.com is my web presence. My email.
Well, spell it RASBEN?
Yeah, RASBEN.com. And rasben188@gmail.com is my email. My business number is 215-510-3502.
Okay. It's been a pleasure interviewing you, brother, and
Yes,
I can't wait to see the lecture today. And I'm sure the people out there all over the world watching this on YouTube is going to enjoy this, brother.
Yes, sir.
Okay, peace.
Bless. The first edition came out in 2000. Reprint came out in 08. And being obedient and bringing out those works have definitely opened up a lot of other portals for me to move through. And so recently I've been doing a lot of works with the Star Nations. And I've just completed a new DVD, The Heavens Are Open, which is a serious look at what, there's a fear factor put on them labels,
Right.
Alien invasion, but they really are celestial family,
So you've had contact with these heavenly hosts?
I have had contact with them, live and direct. Yes, I have.
Can you say what they look like?
Well, I mean, the contact I had, they appeared as orbs or beams of light, balls of light in the sky. Call that ET UFO reality. What our ancestors would call the Anui or the Nomo Titiani, the Ofan. So we looking at that reality and seeing how that really is going to be a thing we're going to have to deal with within this next year or two. Our relationship with the heavenly host. So.
Well, let me let you introduce yourself, brother, and let them know who you are, what you talk about, because you're about to do a powerful lecture presentation here at Nicholas Bookstore in Brooklyn, New York. So just give the people a synopsis of what you bring to the community and to the world.
Yes, I'm Ras Ben, humble servant of humanity, scribe of Rocks of Ages, which is first indigenous-centered, African-centered, cultural-centered look at crystals and sacred stones. That's been, like I said, when I say just completed the DVD, I'm talking about yesterday. So
when you say that these heavenly hosts, would another term be extraterrestrials? Would you
Absolutely.
use that term?
Right.
Now
I avoid that ET UFO label for a number of reasons. The most being that the Eurocentric slant and then resultant stigma that comes with it. Because